Hello, who's at 0233? We got somebody at 0233. Can you hear me? Okay, we'll come back. Anyway, I don't know.
See if someone else is working.
Oh, here's somebody else online. Who's that 8508?
Monica Madden, WXO TV.
I was worried if there's a problem with our line.
Thanks, Monica.
Ask so-and-so to unmute their phone.
Who's at 0233? I think your phone's muted.
No, it's sit
Okay.
But so I just go to this little dot,
That'll show you.
and it'll pop up, it'll show the number. And if you click on the little pencil thing, you can type in and change the name of the way it says.
Right, it'll be on the
Party. And I just like ask who's at the last four. We used to do like the entire number. I'm like, why are we wasting our time? Like nobody does the exact same. So, usually everybody calls them about like 15 till. The sucky thing is, yes. The sucky thing is, this is all that I can do. So when there's like 20 people in the chat room, or like, you can only see 30. It's super annoying. Yeah.
So then.
Cool.
So
That helped. I
Then I sit here.
And there's no video or anything.
And then usually we have questions.
Podium mic check, 1, 2, 3. Podium microphone, mic check, 1, 2, 3. Podium mic.
Then we'll go to the phone lines and he'll actually give you a list of names.
Table mic check, 1, 2, 3. Table microphone, governor's press conference, 1, 2, 3.
And we had a couple of people call in. Who's at 6192?
That's Frank Gerlach at Iowa Public Radio.
Thanks, Grant.
What else we got, sir? Camera right. Reporter microphone,
Who's at
1, 2, 3.
7273?
This is Ron Steele, KWW.
Camera left. Microphone, 1, 2, 3. Good.
Kevin, did we get that other person fixed?
Not yet. I'm gonna go back.
What's their
I'm
number?
looking back at your house now. I didn't do it.
Who's at 0233?
Oh, that's David Fitzgerald, the AP.
There you go.
Podium mic is open.
David, was your phone on mute earlier?
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
So then, once I get them, I can go back and mute her on it. So that way, if for some reason they did not leave her phone on her end, they won't get it. And then, if somebody
Good. You just tell them.
I understand. Probably not. Gonna happen. That's your 10-second delay.
Can you confirm, are we live to the microphone? Yes. Okay, cool.
Oh,
And so just so you see how this kind of runs, so we have reporters in the room.
Right.
We ask questions for about like 8 to 9 minutes, and then go to the phones, and we just kind of run through based on how much time we have and how much,
Right.
you know, so I'll determine
at 0763?
Rod Bushart with Gazette.
Morning, Rod. Thank you. Who's that? 7637?
Rachel with WOI.
Thank you. And who is at 3533?
Jacob Coltrane with the Register.
Hey, Andrew.
Yeah, right there.
It says that we went live, but I don't see it.
One more.
Yeah, I'll check.
Is that 6761?
Hi, Beth Malicki with KCRG.
Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.
I have a PBS, it's not.
Sometimes it's hard to hear them.
Yeah.
It's fine. Double check.
As a backup, we can just share it.
Yeah.
Do you wanna try?
Let me check with that.
Just check it for me. Thanks.
Wanna talk?
Sure. Do we have to?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like.
So, like, usually Jim Price will call me.
This is so annoying. I wish I
It's
could
so
make
annoying.
this app bigger.
It's gonna be double burger.
Hey, this is Pam. So I haven't been directly cross-posting. It's just been doing it it's just been going automatic.
Oh, yeah, I know. So, this is my,
Yeah, just refresh and see. Otherwise, what we've done in the past too is just shared your guys', so that's our backup. But yeah, just refresh since it's 10:51. Thank you.
Here we go.
Okay.
So, do you have the technology?
Who's 1272? Who's at 1272?
This is Kara from KWWL.
Hi.
So sometimes those will maybe the radio station.
388.
Aaron Murphy, Lee Newspapers.
Hi, Aaron.
What do you think, Jim? Did you?
Yeah, it could just be that issue with Facebook that we've had before, so we'll just share it. It's not the end of the world, obviously.
Your computer's on mute. Or the sound is all the way down. Because otherwise, like, you can't touch it. You know, that. 4 minutes? Oh, if somebody calls in.
Good morning. We'll go ahead and start with an update on the numbers for today. We had 191 new positive cases for a total of 2,332 positive cases. We have no new counties to report today, so the total counties remain at 82. We've had 926 negative cases today for a total of 19,460 negative tests, and overall tested 21,792. The State Hygienic Lab has 10,588 tests available. We have 1,007 Iowans that have recovered for a recovery rate of 43%. I'm sorry to report that we have had an additional 4 deaths for a total of 64 deaths in Iowa, and again, our sincerest condolences go out to the families. 13% of all positive cases in Iowa are related to long-term care facility outbreaks, and 45% of all deaths in Iowa are among residents of long-term care facilities. Across all of our RMCC regions yesterday, there were 183 COVID-19 patients hospitalized. 19 were admitted in the last 24 hours. 88 patients are being treated in ICUs, and 52 are on ventilators. Also, in hospitals across the state, there are 7,966 inpatient beds, 566 ICU beds, and 676 ventilators available for patient care. And just a reminder, for more information and breakdown by data, by county, or by region, go to coronavirus.iowa.gov. So today I want to provide a brief update that the Department of Public Health is working closely with some of our processing plants. The Tyson plants, especially in Columbus Junction and Waterloo, in an effort to test all employees and conduct contact tracing for all positive cases. Testing will conclude today at the Tyson plant in Columbus Junction. 2,700 tests are being sent today to the Tyson plant in Waterloo, and the State Hygienic Lab will be running all completed tests over the weekend. I have had the opportunity to speak with the Tyson plant in Waterloo. I was able to do that last evening about the steps that they're taking to protect the health of their employees, including temperature screenings. They are requiring masks to be on before they enter the facility. They are relaxing their attendance policy just to make sure that employees know that it is important that if they're sick to stay home, and they're providing regular communication in multiple language. As we've said, environments where people are in close contact, including processing plants and long-term care facilities, are at risk for COVID-19 to spread rapidly if an exposure occurs. The Department of Public Health has activated additional support teams to help these businesses and others conduct testing, contact tracing, as well as prevention. Yesterday, we also talked about the importance of expanding testing capacity in Iowa so that we can better understand the level of the virus activity and again make targeted and informed decisions about reopening our state. By increasing the number of Iowans tested either through diagnostic testing to confirm positive COVID-19 cases or through serology testing to determine if a person has had the virus, we can then target specific communities and businesses that are in a position to open back up in a way that is measured and responsible. So it really is a critical piece of us talking about how we start to reopen the state of Iowa back up. I know that the possibility of getting life back to normal sooner rather than later is what hardworking Iowans want, and it is absolutely what I want too. As we continue to learn how to live with COVID-19 until a vaccine is available, we'll also learn how to carefully balance not only the health of Iowans, but the health of our economy. Yesterday afternoon, I met with the state chief economist and agency directors from the Department of Revenue, Economic Development, Iowa Finance Authority, Workforce Development, OCIO, Department of Human Services, Education, Department of Transportation, and Lottery to really discuss parameters and guidelines for how we will stabilize, recover, and grow Iowa's economy. The team is working now to affirm objectives and measurements, and as we move into the next phase of planning, we will be assembling a group that includes business and industry stakeholders to help provide input on challenges, but also opportunities ahead, and really help develop solutions to fuel the economy, the economic recovery and growth. I also had the opportunity to join a call yesterday with the president, the vice president, and governors from all across this country to discuss guidelines for opening up America. The administration is proposing a phased approach based on up-to-date data and readiness that really, again, mitigates the risk of resurgence and protects the most vulnerable among us. And it can be implemented on a statewide or county-by-county basis at the governor's discretion. The plan that we're already discussing for Iowa really does align very well with what the president's plan is. So there's a lot of similarities that we all have been looking at as we talk about targeting and then responsibly reopening our states. I'm grateful that the administration recognizes how important it is that each state make decisions based on what's best for the people and economy in our states. And I look forward to continuing to partner at the federal level as well as the local level here in Iowa to make the best decisions to move our state forward. So one of the first, as we talk about mitigation steps and data that we've used to make targeted decisions throughout the whole COVID crisis, one of the first significant mitigation steps that we took in Iowa was to slow the spread of the virus was recommending the closure of schools on March 15th. Then on April 2nd, schools were closed until April 30th, and school districts were required to inform the state of their intent to provide our students continuous learning opportunities for the kids that they serve. At that time, I said that I would assess the situation 2 weeks out to the April 30th date and provide further guidance on the possibility of reopening before the end of this regular scheduled school year. And believe me, I would like nothing more than to stand before you today and announce that Iowa will be open for school in May. But as we look at what the data is telling us now, I can't tell you with certainty based on the Department of Public Health's data that they're providing to the office that early May will be the right time for students, teachers, and staff to gather again in their classrooms. So therefore, I regret to say that Iowa schools will not reopen for this school year. But school districts will be required to continue to provide continuous learning opportunities for their students until the end of the regular school year. And here to share some more information about the decision and what will be expected of school districts as they prepare for the summer and fall is Department of Education Director Ann Lebo. Ann?
Thank you, Governor. Closing schools through the end of the year is not an easy decision, and we do know the challenges this creates. But we also know this decision is necessary to ensure the health and safety of those we serve. This also includes the cancellation of spring sports seasons, adding to the many school activities which have already been lost. Iowa schools are essential to our communities, well beyond the educational services they provide, and we recognize the loss this brings to many. We'll provide more information by June 1st about summer sports seasons. Even though our school buildings are closed, learning opportunities across Iowa are in full swing thanks to the efforts of our school staff and leaders. Under normal circumstances, the timeline for developing continuous learning plans would take months, years even. Our schools developed and implemented solutions in only a matter of weeks. Every one of Iowa's 327 public school districts, as well as 179 non-public schools, submitted plans just 1 week ago. In a short turnaround, they kept their families informed, identified student needs, worked to ensure equitable access to learning opportunities, and dove in headfirst to provide continuous learning strategies to meet the needs of their students and families. The instructional time requirements will continue to be waived for the remainder of the 2019-2020 academic year for all schools providing continuous learning opportunities through either the voluntary option, the required option, or a combination of the two. To prepare for a return to face-to-face learning, schools will need to design and submit a return to learn plan to the Iowa Department of Education by July 1. This plan may include options for summer school, enrichment activities, or other opportunities designed to address disruptions to learning as a result of COVID-19. and will be further supported through recommendations from the Continuous Learning Task Force. Governor Reynolds also will waive the late August start date for schools during this public health emergency, so school districts and non-public schools can make local decisions about the 2020-2021 academic year. As we find our way forward, robust, engaging options for learning outside of brick and mortar will become an integral part of our educational framework, complementing face-to-face learning and preparing students for the increasingly digital world they live in. These are extraordinary times for our teachers, administrators, and staff who are transitioning to this new learning landscape, and for our students who are transitioning too. For the class of 2020, the senior year of high school is very different than previous classes have experienced. Unlike most high school seniors, the class of 2020 likely won't go to prom, have a senior skip day, or even a graduation ceremony. But despite all of this, they remain focused on the future. We know that parents are adjusting too in more ways than I can fairly capture. So to them, I just want to say thank you. It isn't easy, and we are doing everything we can to support our schools, families, and students as they adjust to a new way of learning and of life. The department continues to meet virtually with school leaders twice a week to answer questions and have removed barriers to high school graduation, helped to mobilize grab-and-go meals for students, built an online bank of resources to help teachers and families move to continuous learning, and waived assessment and testing requirements so schools can focus on engaging with students. We are also helping to connect resources for schools in need of technology, materials, and supplies in light of COVID-19's impact on education delivery. The education donations resource page on our website is updated regularly, and we have already connected schools with partners such as DHS to support some of those needs. COVID-19 has created challenges, but our school administrators, teachers, district staff, parents, caregivers, and students are resilient, resourceful, and tenacious. For that, I am grateful and reassured that we will get through this together and come out stronger on the other side. Thank you.
Thanks, Ann. And I just greatly appreciate all the work that you and the Education Task Force has done to initiate continuous learning, and the work that you will do now to prepare districts to return to learn this fall. And again, to the superintendents and the teachers out there also, thanks for what you're doing to provide continuous learners to our students during this really tough time. And I want to thank the school districts for their student-centered approach as you begin to look ahead for the next year. This is an unprecedented time, and you continue to help us reimagine how Iowa students can continue to learn regardless of the circumstances. So I look forward to working with you and learning more about the plans in the months to come. So in closing, I want to share some good news that will help Iowa begin to move forward. We have had 22,295 Iowa businesses that were approved for loans through the SBA Paycheck Protection Program, and this will circulate $3.75 billion in the Iowa economy and keep thousands of Iowans working. I want to thank Iowa's SBA lenders on reacting swiftly to help these businesses keep moving and to keep their employees hired. Iowa ranks in the top 20 of all states approved for funding, and that was due to the quick response of Iowa banks and credit unions. Additionally, Iowa Economic Development Authority Small Business Relief Grant has sent 96% of the $24 million to over 1,200 Iowa businesses, so they also have stood up a program so quickly and then got the funding out to the individuals who qualified for that. So we're waiting on guidance from the U.S. Treasury for the money that will be coming into Iowa, so that we hope to expand those small business relief grants. We just need some additional information before we're able to talk about what our next steps are from Iowa. So with that, we will open it up to questions. Yeah.
Difficult was this decision to make for the new administration?
Yeah. Yeah.
So many students.
Yeah.
Kids in Iowa.
Yeah, well, it was very hard. All of the decisions that I've had to make have had just unbelievable repercussions on Iowans, families, and students and businesses all across the state. But just as other governors have done, when you sit down and try to talk about how we responsibly start to open back up Iowa, we still haven't actually peaked at this point, and we just don't have the data that I think that we need to start to have the conversation about opening them up. So, you know, we made the decision yesterday for right now. I told him I would give him a 2-week notice on what we thought it would look like, and we just are not going to be where we need to be by May 1 to help give them the information they need to put the plans in place to try to figure out how to reopen school, which potentially for some schools would have been 2 to 3 weeks and some maybe 4, you know, but we spent a lot of time trying to figure out if we could do that, and it just wasn't possible. So right now, I want to just, again, thank you, heartfelt thank you to the administrators and the teachers that are putting plans in place. We're getting better at it. We've had to stand them up relatively quickly, but they've done it. They did do that, and now we're going to continue to look for opportunities to enhance and really make those programs even better so we can continue to work with the kids. It's one of the reasons I waived the school date, because maybe there's a possibility for schools to start 3 weeks early and start some of that remediation so that we can start to see where the kids are at and help provide them the instruction they need to get them there to where they should be at and really able to move forward.
Do you have any data on how many students are actually participating in continuous learning at this point, either because their school districts are making it mandatory or because they're doing voluntary? There's been some reports from other states that participation is not that great.
Yeah, and so that is the concern, and so, you know, we were kind of just right in the middle of the pandemic, and we had to do what we had to do. It's been a valuable learning experience, and I think as we move forward, we're going to continue to enhance it and be in a better place. We can do better, and we need to do better, and that would be part of it, I think, Kathy, moving these school districts from a voluntary to a registered, because in the registered piece of it, they actually do take attendance, and they give, I think, grades, right? Do you have anything you want to add to that? I shouldn't. Yeah.
Are you keeping data on how many?
Excuse me. Not at this point. I mean, it did just sort of start, and we recognize that some districts might change. Our goal, though, I think, as we look at this progressing, is it's going to significantly look different as we continue to move forward. So I don't have that data for you. I'm not sure how we could gather it. We could try anecdotally, but the one thing we are asking districts to do as we start to think about a return to learn, that's what they will be looking at. How many kids didn't participate? They're going to have to make those measurements, and we'll make those as part of our recommendations, because we're all going to have some significant disruptions to address in the fall. So that will be part of that process.
And that's what they'll be working on through this interim and continue to work on all the time, especially with the task force that they have in place. I'm sorry, Todd.
Discussion about the Midwest states getting together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about you not joining with some of our neighbors. What's
Yeah.
the status of that?
Yep.
How are we dealing?
So we have been in constant contact with all of the governors across the country, whether it's been on the conference calls with the vice president and the president, or just various times pick up the phone and see what they're doing in the states. And so we kind of had already established a group of governors that have worked very closely with the flood mitigation that we've been working with, especially with the levee system along the western side of the state. So I have been in close contact through all of this with Governor Ricketts because of Omaha and Council Bluffs and just what we've worked on with the flood. And so we've been working with North Dakota governor, South Dakota governor, Nebraska governor, Missouri governor, Arkansas. I think they've reached out to Kansas governor. Governor Kelly has been involved also in the flood task force. So that's kind of a unit that we've been working with to start to talk about how we reopen as a region. So it was just a relationship that had already existed, working through some really tough flooding that we had take place this last year.
So are you going to work with Governor Illinois as well?
Well, you know, I've worked with Pritzker on several issues, so there would be no reason. I mean, we continue to communicate and talk about what we're doing. So it's just these are the ones that we've kind of worked with and had already been working with, and so we've got kind of a group that we've done calls. We've been watching this year because we still have a very vulnerable levee system along the western side of the state. So we're watching the forecast. We're trying to do that from a regional perspective to make sure that we're, you know, protecting both sides and we're in the best possible place that we can be as we move into spring flooding. So, but we're going to continue every governor is approaching this based on data from their state, talking about best practices, what they've done, how they've applied it. We learn from everybody, and that's the benefit actually of getting on the calls. They'll talk about what they need, what they've experienced, some areas that they've had some problems with, maybe some of the testing supplies. So it's beneficial to talk to all of them.
Going back to the packing plant.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you clarify for us a little bit what you think the role of OSHA is?
Yeah.
There's been some conflicting reports that they don't think this is maybe their job to do engagement and that they don't have inspectors in the plant all the time. And secondly, on the packing plant issue, are you, let's see, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. Oh, you mentioned talking with the employers.
Yeah.
But have you also talked with groups representing the workers?
Yeah.
Or, do you
Yeah.
have that cross-check with what they're doing?
Yeah, so OSHA is the who they would go to with any worker safety or employer concerns. That they have a process in place where a worker has an opportunity to file a complaint if they feel like they're being exposed to unsafe workspace, that it's not safe. I did reach out to Commissioner Roberts to see how he is handling this. He said they have been proactive in reaching out to businesses and processing plants and making sure that they understand what the Iowa Department of Public Health and the CDC guidelines are. Any complaint that comes in, they have a team that investigates that, so all complaints are being investigated. The number for that is 1-800-332-0419. So again, they have a process in place. It's Iowa OSHA. They do work with them, have proactively reached out to them, follow up with any complaint, regardless of what type of a business it is. It's followed up through the agency. And they did say, when my team talked to Commissioner Roberts, that they are expecting COVID-19 specific guidance from federal OSHA this week. So they'll just have, that can enhance what they're already doing, and they are expecting to get that this week.
Have you talked to groups representing?
So I've really focused on like the HR or the production, the plant manager, so that we can understand what the needs are, so we can first of all make sure that the employees are safe and that they're working in a safe environment, and testing is a critical component of that, so we can start to understand what the scope of the exposure has been, and through contact tracing how we can get in front of that and hopefully protect the employees and ultimately keep the plant up and going so that we can keep the flow of food going out of Iowa and throughout the nation. They are critical infrastructure, and it's essential that we do everything we can to protect the workforce while keeping these processing plants up and going. And so that's where Kathy, have been working, because I want to get the testing supplies down. I want to make sure that they are providing, or if there's any other things that they might need, that we can facilitate helping them with. I had a good conversation with the HR team at the Tyson plant in Waterloo yesterday. I kind of ran through some of the things where, they want to do everything they can to keep their workforce healthy and there. They have been adamant about, if you're sick, stay home. Like I said, they eliminated their incentive plan for not calling in sick. They didn't want anybody to think, they didn't want to incentivize anybody to do that. They wanted to make sure that they knew that if you were sick, stay home. They can't enter the plant without a mask on. They're providing, or they can bring their own. They are taking temperature scans. They're disinfecting more often. They are distancing as much as they can. They're separating when people go on breaks. They're doing that at different times. They're allowing individuals to break in the locker area if they feel like they can't get the social distancing that they're trying to get in the break room. So they've just they're implementing and continually looking for additional things that they can do to make sure that they have a safe environment for their employees. So that was just, I called to see, to let them know that we were sending testing supplies to them. They should arrive today. How many? 2,700? 2,700, so I wanted to let them know that they were coming. I just wanted to check and see if they needed a team to help facilitate the testing, and then to let them know we also had 1,500 tests that went to 3 clinics in the Waterloo area as well, so that we have additional testing capacity for the residents of the community as well. And I think that's really important too.
We're going to go to Aaron at Lee.
Thanks, Governor. Can you first real quick clarify, is this a recommendation on the schools or is this an order?
Well, right now, I let them know that, that kind of give them an update on where I thought we were going, and we will not be opening schools back up for this school year, and it'll be in an order, but it'll be at the end of the 30-day expiration. So currently, that's already in place. I wanted to give them a heads up. It doesn't look like at this time, based on the data that we have and that we haven't peaked, the turnaround time just wouldn't be enough, I don't think, to open things back up. And so I wanted to let them know that's the direction we will be going, and then the official order will go out after April 30th.
Okay, we're going to go to Kara at KWWL.
Hi, Governor. The past 2 days you've talked a lot about Tyson and the outbreak in Waterloo that's linked to the plant. Can you give us shed some light on what the threshold is to when that plant would possibly be shut down, if that's even a possibility?
Well, our goal is to hope that we don't, and that's why we're doing the surveillance testing, and that's why the testing capacity is so important for all of these businesses and for long-term care facilities and just for potential hot spots across the state, because we can get in there early and start to get some sense of what the percentage of the population is that's testing positive, so we can do the contact tracing. And what that does is it works. Well, you want to explain that? I should let you do what you do.
Thank you. Yeah, so in terms of the threshold of what it would look like to close a plant down, we haven't gotten there yet in terms of feeling like from a state perspective that we need to order that. That's one of the reasons that we are providing and facilitating surveillance testing. And surveillance testing really includes testing not only people who might be symptomatic, but also people who might be infected with the virus, but who are asymptomatic. And so the goal of that is to keep sick individuals out of the workplace so that the manufacturing and food processing can continue. And so I think that, our perspective and our understanding is that the owners of these facilities, they also want to do everything they can to keep their workforce healthy. And so we feel like they've been great partners so far. They're asking the right questions, they're doing the right things. Governor Reynolds just walked through a number of the things that are happening within those facilities to try to make sure that they can stay up and running and also keep their employees safe. And so at this point in time, we haven't felt as a state health department that there's a need to issue a closure order. We will continue to keep an eye on the data, but that's really the reason that we're helping facilitate some of this surveillance testing, because we do believe that the CEOs of these companies, they want to do the right thing, they want to keep their employees healthy, and part of that is making sure we can identify individuals who are sick so they can be at home and recover and not spread the virus at their workplace.
We're going to go to Nick at the Des Moines Register.
Yeah, thank you, Governor. So with the school not being reopened for the rest of the year, and you saying that the data doesn't show Iowa will be safe in early May, what does this mean for other businesses that are being closed through April 30 on the existing emergency declaration? Do they expect those closures to extend as well?
Well, we don't know that, so we have 2 more weeks to continue to gather the data. We're going to have the capacity to increase the amount of testing to see what the scope is across the state. We're going to continue to work with our long-term care facilities, with businesses, and with Iowans. We're going to continue to really build out the contact tracing. We have, we are ready to go once we get the testing for serology testing, which can test if you have had the virus. As we learn more and you've recovered, then what is the immunity against getting it again? And so we've got 2 testing labs that are ready to do that. We're just waiting on additional testing capacity to come into the state, and we've requested that. So we're going to continue to gather all that data, look at the rates, put the metrics in place, and again, this will be a phased-in approach. So as we dialed back down in Region 6, which that was hard to do that as well, but because of what we were seeing with the increased infection rate, we felt we needed to take some additional steps, and as we learn more from the testing that we're doing in that region, we'll take a look at what that looks like over the next week or the next 2 weeks. Those 14 days that we dialed it down just a little bit, and then we can look at other regions of the state that are doing really well and start to look at what some of the metrics look like there, and maybe there will be an opportunity for us to start to open things up in a responsible and phased-in manner. So we're going to continue to look at the data across the state, county, by region, and by communities.
We've got time for 2 more questions. Second to last, Beth, KCRG.
Thank you so much. This is a numbers question when it comes to those serology tests. What % of Iowa's population would you be comfortable with getting one of those antibody tests before Iowa could be open for business?
Oh, it's not going to just be
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think there, as it relates to serology testing, there is a lot that we still need to understand about this particular virus, and including once somebody has had it, what their level of immunity is, what the, how many antibodies they would need to be able to prevent infection, and if they are immune, how long that immunity might last. And so I think there are a lot of questions that we still need to learn about serology testing, but serology testing is just, one tool in our toolbox to understand if somebody has been infected with the virus, and the length of immunity that they might have, I think really remains to be determined. And so there are people that are actively working on that, but the serology testing is one tool for us to be able to use in terms of trying to understand the number of people in our communities that have had the virus. They might have had a mild illness, and so to the extent that that is the case and we can put them back in the workplace, that's just one strategy that we'll use in terms of trying to, dial back up and reopen things a little bit.
Last question will be Rachel at Channel 5.
Hi, Governor. This may be a question for Director Lebo, but I'm just curious what the main problems are that the state has heard schools running into with continuous learning, and then also just some more details on what we could expect to see with the return to learn plans. I'm sure a lot of parents will be wondering if their child will be moving on to the next grade in the fall. Will they possibly be held back?
So I'll try and answer parts of your question. So, whether or not children move on, that is and always has been a local decision. So that's up for schools to determine grades and completion. So the resources that we'll be offering to help support those return to learn plans will help districts work through that process. In regards to the challenges that districts are facing, there's several, and we're seeing it sort of broadly spread depending on the district's previous readiness to offer virtual learning or expanded learning. A lot of districts simply did not have the capacity. They didn't have the broadband. They didn't have the resources. We know they're working on getting hotspots and devices, and part of our education resources page is to help partner those resources. Schools that have needs, we're trying to find the resources for them. There's also a lot of challenges with your student populations. Some kids are having to work and help support their families. We know of children who are working overnight shifts at Hy-Vee, and so the challenges for school looks much different for them. So we wanted that to be a local decision, but knowing that these plans are going to continue and last a little bit longer, we expect them to be different, and we expect there to be a transition, and we will do what we can to help districts get better at this, because this is something we're going to have to make sure we're able to do going forward.
Thanks, everyone.
I just want to say one last thing. I just want to say to Iowans out there, thanks for tuning in and thanks for being a part of these daily briefings. And I know this has been a tough week and this has been a tough road with some really tough decisions that's impacting Iowans and families and businesses all across the state. And while this has been a really tough week, I want you to know there are a lot of really positive signs out there as well. And this team is not only working hard to make sure that we're taking care of vulnerable Iowans, not overwhelming the healthcare system, and really making sure that we flatten the curve, but we also every day are looking at ways that we can open it back up this economy and let Iowans get out there and do what they do so well. So hang in there. There's, it's been a tough week, but there's also a lot of positive signs that we're seeing out there. So if you just hang with us for 2 more weeks and be responsible and stay at home if you're sick, only go out for essential services, work from home if you can, and really do your part, then we'll do our part and we're going to get Iowa opened up again. So thank you. I appreciate that.
So what we see is